Picture Europe as a board game. France is stacking pieces. Spain is counting gold. The Ottomans are expanding like a tide. And then there's this one country that looks unfair. A giant blob stretching from the Baltic toward the Black Sea. Like someone misclicked and dragged the border too far. And then, without a single final boss battle everyone remembers, this giant simply disappears. No capital city burning on camera. No iconic surrender scene. Just paperwork, signatures, and a nation removed from the map. How does something that massive become nothing? In this story, the twist is brutal. Poland-Lithuania didn't die because it was weak. It died because its greatest strength became a weapon in someone else's hands. You are watching Be Explained, and this is why Poland-Lithuania was so huge and then gone. In 1569, Poland and Lithuania stopped being two close partners and become a single political machine, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, created by the Union of Lublin. This new state is not a normal kingdom. It's a federation with a shared parliament, the Sejm, and a single elected monarch. And the results are immediate. For a while, it becomes one of the largest and most populated states in Europe. At its early 1600s peak, it spans an enormous territory and rules a huge, diverse population. So, why did it get so huge? Because it solved a problem most countries couldn't. Europe in the 1500s isn't neat. It's a patchwork of languages, religions, and local power. Most kings try to force the patchwork into one cloth. Poland-Lithuania does the opposite. It says, fine, keep your local customs, keep your nobles, keep your identity, just stay inside the Commonwealth. That flexibility, combined with the alliance of two major powers, creates a state that can hold together lands that would normally split apart. So on the map, it grows. But here's the price it pays for that flexibility. To keep everyone inside the tent, the Commonwealth gives its nobility an extreme level of political power, something later called golden liberty. And at first it sounds like the ultimate safety feature. The king can't easily become a tyrant. The parliament matters, the nobility has rights. But then comes the design flaw that turns a superpower into a self-sabotaging machine, the liberum veto. One member of the Sejm can stop a decision, and in practice, even dissolve the session and nullify what it passed, because decisions are expected to be unanimous. It's first used in 1652. Think about how insane that is. Imagine trying to run an army, a tax system, and foreign policy with a rule that says one person can flip the table. And for a while, the Commonwealth survives anyway, because neighbours are busy, and because the system can work when people act in good faith. But history is not a good faith environment. Here's the moment where the story turns into a political thriller. If a single vote can freeze the state, then all an enemy has to do is buy or intimidate one vote. Not a whole election, not a whole army, just one man in a room. This is how a giant gets controlled without being conquered. Now add the second problem. The monarchy is elective. Kings are chosen by the nobility rather than inherited automatically. Again, it sounds democratic-ish, but it creates an obvious weakness. Foreign powers can meddle, fund factions, and push candidates who will be convenient. So the Commonwealth becomes a place where other empires compete using bribes and promises, not just cannons. Now, because this is the 1600s, war still arrives anyway. And the mid-1600s hit the Commonwealth like a collapsing ceiling. A series of invasions and wars, especially the period known as the Deluge, devastates the country. Modern summaries describe catastrophic losses and severe weakening of the Commonwealth's status as a great power. So now imagine the Commonwealth as a giant body that has survived a massive injury. It's still big, but it's bleeding, exhausted, and politically paralysed. And on its borders, a different kind of state is rising, more centralised, more militarised, more ruthless. Russia in particular becomes increasingly influential inside Commonwealth politics. In 1717, an event later called the Silent Sedum marked a major step in growing Russian influence and control over the Commonwealth's affairs. So now the trap is complete. The Commonwealth can't reform easily because the Sim can be vetoed. It can't consistently defend itself because reforms to taxes and armies are hard to pass. Foreign powers can interfere through elections and internal factions. Then, in the late 1700s, something almost miraculous happens. Reformers inside the Commonwealth try to fix the system. In 1791, they passed the Constitution of May 3rd, a major reform that abolishes the liberum veto and strengthens governance. This is the escape attempt. The state tries to evolve from a vulnerable, hackable system into something that can survive in a new era of powerful centralized empires. And this is where the tragedy becomes sharp. The neighbours don't allow it. The Commonwealth's reforms trigger backlash. A conservative faction forms the Confederation of Targowica and asks Russia to intervene, and Russia does. So the moment the Commonwealth tries to lock its doors, someone inside hands the keys to the invader. Now we reach the part everyone knows vaguely, but it rarely feels as a story. The partitions. In 1772, 1793 and 1795, Russia, Prussia and Austria carve up the Commonwealth in stages until the state ceases to exist. And that's the final twist. This giant doesn't fall in one dramatic collapse. It's dismantled like a house, room by room, while the people inside argue about whether they're even allowed to repair the roof. So why was Poland-Lithuania so huge and then gone? Because it was built on a brilliant early idea, a vast federation held together by consent and noble rights. But in an age when neighbours became centralised military machines, that same system turned into a vulnerability. A giant with an open control panel, big enough to intimidate everyone, but easy to jam, easy to stall, and eventually easy to divide.
This is Be Explained. If you want history without myths or noise, subscribe, because the past still shapes the present. And here it is explained.